Dude, did you fart? I shift my eyes, but not my nose, over at my faithful companion, the love of my life, the worshipper of my goddessness, and frown as he sits upright in the passenger seat of my 1972 AMC Javelin SST. He doesn't respond, of course, not that he has to. I can tell from the guilty wagging of his tail that he totally laid a stink egg. Dude. I roll down my window, cranking hard on the handle as the glass squeaks while it disappears into the door. I need to put a couple drops of oil, or WD-40, on the crank gears in the door, so the window can go up and down a little smoother. But I've only just rebuilt this baby, so there are bound to be a few glitches here and there. I stick my head out the window and breathe deep, happy for some fresh air. Not that the air hanging over the Crossroads is all that fresh. It's more like a haze of ancient horse manure and more recent exhaust fumes. Fumes from leaded gas, of course. None of that unleaded shit. But leaded or unleaded, it's better than smelling a damn dog fart. Sighing, I rest my chin on my arm and turn my eyes up to a brilliantly black sky. There are no stars anywhere, only the bright, perfectly full glowing orb of Luna. Okay, so maybe it's not totally black, but you get the gist. Hey girl, I say, and give a wave to that sexy orb. Luna does an almost imperceptible shimmy for me, and I smile. My eyes lower, and I study the back of the ground-level billboard I'm parked behind. It's cliché, I know, but these old billboards really are the best place to post up. My car is hidden, yet I have a view in both directions. Not that I need to see in both directions. They really only come from one way, if they come at all. Keon, the silent owner of the deadly fart, whines. Not so quiet now, are you? I say, without bringing my head back into the car. Stink yourself out? He whines again, and his head jerks to the left. I perk up, and despite the lingering stench, pull myself back into the car as I hunt around for what I need. Been a while, I say, still searching through the discarded fast food trash and old togas until I find what I'm looking for. Gotcha. I hold up the radar gun and flip on the switch. Which way, Kay? I ask the whiny toot-tooter. Keon, with his long muzzle and pointy ears, swivels his neck and gives me a, "Which way do you think, lady?" look. Technically, Keon can speak if he wants. I gave him that ability, about 30 millennia ago or so. Or has it been 40 millennia? I don't know. Time flies when you're restoring old cars that haven't been invented yet. Well, yeah, once I finish the damn things, they exist in the Earth realm. I mean, obviously, that's how things work. Doesn't matter. Keon can speak, but chooses not to. Whines, barks, growls, and the occasional ass trumpeting are how he gets his point across. Just like all dogs, gotta love him. What do we think we got? Huh, Kay? I ask as I point the radar gun out of my window, aiming it for the road that stretches on forever and ever. A Corvette? A Charger? Maybe a T-Bird convertible? I'd love to see one of those babies. Goddess, I love cars. Far from off, I can hear a motor, a strain to figure out what type it is. Straight 6? Julie V8? 24 valve or 32? My ears can't quite tell. Then, as it always happens, the vehicle in question appears in a blaze of fire and road dust. The flames quickly dissipate, but the dust is a bitch and obscures my view of the vehicle as it roars through the crossroads. Was that a fucking minivan, Kay? He doesn't reply, just whips his head in the opposite direction as the boxy abomination races past the billboard, none the wiser to the fact that they just made a big mistake. I look at the radar gun. 92? Shit. Yeah, the driver just made a really fucking big mistake. I throw the Javelin into drive and press the gas pedal down to the floor. The rear wheels spit gravel and I fishtail out onto the road. Hang on, Kay. We got a speeder to catch. Slow down, Arthur. You're going to crash, Ginny shouts, her eyes wide and her hands planted firmly on the dashboard of the silvery blue Chevrolet Astrovan. Damn it, Arthur! Slow down! Can't, babe, Arthur says, hunched over the steering wheel, his bloodshot eyes manic with fear and confusion and self-loathing. He's unsure why he feels all these emotions at once, but something in the back of his mind tells him that things aren't going well for the Herbst family. We gotta hurry. Gotta make the ferry. Stop talking about the ferry, Dad, Teresa says from the back seat as she fiddles with her Walkman. She slaps the side of the brand new machine over and over, then huffs and grunts with perfect teenage annoyance. What the shit? I just put in new batteries. Language, Ginny says. Whatever, Teresa replies, taking the thin, now useless headphones off her ears and letting them rest around her neck. Are we there yet? Gotta make the ferry, Arthur mumbles, his foot pressing harder on the gas. Gotta make the ferry. Ginny risks a glance and gasps. For God's sake, Arthur, you're almost going 100. Can't slow down, babe. Nope. Gotta make the ferry. Oh my God, what is it with you and this ferry? Teresa whines. I thought we were going to Baskin-Robbins, then the AMC to see 16 Candles. We don't need to take a ferry to get to the mall, Dad. Ginny opens her mouth to continue the fear-drenched barraging of her husband, but her words are cut off as a loud siren shrieks through the air from behind them. Dad? You got a cop on your ass, Teresa says. Language, Ginny shouts. She side-eyes her husband. A police officer is now chasing us, Arthur. Slow down and pull over. Nope, not gonna, Arthur says, white-knuckling the steering wheel. Just a little bit more to go. Just a little bit. Ginny turns her head and looks back at her daughter. Teresa just rolls her eyes and shrugs. The siren gets louder, and the reflection of the red and blue bubble lights swirl around the interior of the Astrovan. The roaring of the police car's engine gets louder and louder, until Teresa finally sits all the way up and looks out the back window of the minivan. Dad, you can't outrun the cops, she says, as the Javelin races up behind them. Like, seriously, don't be lame. Pull over like Mom said. Thank you, Teresa, Ginny replies, her voice simultaneously filled with gratitude and panic. Arthur, you heard her. We cannot outrun the police. Pull over. Before Arthur can respond, the air is ripped apart by the shrieking rumble of the 8-cylinder, 400 horsepower V8 engine hidden under the Javelin's baby blue HUD as the car comes up alongside the van. The passenger window rolls down and a very large dog sticks its head out. Arthur glances at the car, does a double take, then focuses on the road ahead. Dog driving a police car, he mumbles. Sure, why not? Makes sense, don't it? Sure, makes sense. He looks over again, and the dog has moved its head so Arthur can see the woman driving the car, a CB handset to her mouth. The speaker on top of the car, bolted between the red and blue bubble lights, comes to life. It even stretches slightly like in a cartoon, a metal mouth of loudspeaker clearing its throat.
Hey there, traveler. Gonna need you to pull it on over if you don't mind.
Gotta make the ferry, Arthur shouts, although he doesn't know if the woman cop can even hear him over the roar of her engine.
Nah, don't you worry about making the ferry. It'll be there when it's supposed to be. Right now, I need you to ease off that gas and pull that land freighter off to the side of the road. You hear me, traveler?
I have to make the ferry.
Zeus and Hera, these people, I swear.
Comes from the loudspeaker, followed by an ear-piercing squawk.
Listen, buddy, I know what you're going through. Confused, upset. Maybe a little gassy like Keon here. I get it, but you aren't going to make the ferry unless you pull over. You can drive and drive all you want, but you won't get there. The road is blocked to you.
Blocked? Arthur asks. He narrows his eyes and strains to see down the road. Where? A massive foot, about 20 meters wide and twice as long, stomps down in the road about a quarter mile ahead. Arthur! What the fuck? Language! Arthur, seeing the road blocked, slams on the brakes, sending the Astro van into a dangerous power slide. He barely keeps the van upright as the wheel fights his grip and wants to whip to the right. He fights and fights, but the van has a mind of its own and comes to a complete stop on the road's shoulder, a massive cloud of dust wafting over it from behind. The Javelin eases off the road and parks diagonally in front of the Astro van. Hecate, as the patch over her left breast reads, gets out, adjusts her uniform, checks her sidearm, glances at herself in the side mirror, smiles at what she sees, then struts down the asphalt towards the Herbst family vehicle. Now, this is one ugly-ass car. Zeus, who thought it would be a good idea to set a box that needs a nose job on a set of 4 wheels? Keon, I call and slap my thigh. My stinky co-pilot hops out of his window and trots around to my side. I pet the spot between his ears, then give his head a little pat. Check for hitchhikers, will ya? Keon takes off, his nose going full power as he sniffs every millimeter of the boxy abomination. Don't forget the muffler. You know how things like to slither in the pipes. Keon pauses his sniffing and gives me a harsh look. Sorry, calm down, just reminding you, I say and hold up my hands. Keon rolls his eyes and gets back to work. Howdy, folks, I say as I saunter up to the driver's side window. So, I'm sure you know why I pulled you over. Yeah, because Dad has lost his fucking mind, the girl in the back seat says. Language, Teresa, language, the woman in the passenger seat shrieks. I'm thinking Mommy may have lost her mind too. Let's all calm down now, I say, and pat the air. No need for emotions to run high. I smile at the teenager in the back. Oh wow, I love your shirt. The way the collar is cut out and it hangs off one shoulder. What color is that? Neon pink. Neon pink? Wow, beautiful. I think I'll get a toga made with that color. Toga? Like an Animal House? I don't know what Animal House is, but I do love animals, so if there's a house full of them, then I'm there. What's the address? The girl frowns at me like I've gone as mad as her parents, and I realize I'm blabbering. Sorry, forget the toga and the house of animals, I say, and focus on dear old Dad. You, sir, have been caught speeding through these crossroads, and that's a big no-no in these parts. I'll get my license and registration, he says, and slaps his hands against his jeans. Then he stops and looks over at me, his eyes full of fear. My wallet isn't in my pocket. That's okay, I say. I don't need them anyway. Not gonna write you a ticket. You're not? Oh, thank God, the mom says, and her entire body just deflates back into her seat with relief. Thank you, officer. Goddess, I interrupt to correct her. Yeah, I know I really rock this uniform. It shows off my figure like a bulky toga never can. But I'm not an officer of the law. Just a titan hanging out with my pup while I wait for folks like you to zoom on by. I can tell by the dull look on the mom's face that she has no idea what I'm talking about. Anywho, I'm here to present you with a few options, so listen up. Will we still make the ferry? The dad asks. Forget about the ferry. What's your name? Arthur Herbst. Well, Arthur Herbst, making the ferry is guaranteed, all right? But where you end up after the ferry drops you off isn't, and that's what I'm here for. The parents stare at me. The teenager clicks her tongue. Are we dead or something? She asks. Smart girl, I say, and give her a wink. You are very much dead. What? The mom stammers. What do you mean we're dead? It was the truck, wasn't it? The teenager continues. That big one with the Miller Lite ad on the side. Dad tried to pass it, and it looks like he didn't make it. Good one, Dad. What? No, I passed it. No problem, the dad says, and reaches out and actually caresses the dashboard of the van. This baby has 200 horsepower V6. I hate to break it to you, but no, it doesn't, I say, and rest my arms on his window frame as I lean in close. This is the what? 1980 Astro van? Yes, the dad answers and nods. Yeah, well, this model has two options, a 98 horsepower V4 or the 200 horsepower V6. You, sir, bought the V4. It even says so on the rear hatch. V4, right above the bumper. Jesus, Arthur, the mom huffs. You said you paid so much for it because it was the better model. Well, that's what the salesman said. Hey, it's all good. Everyone relax. I push off from the door and clap my hands together. Keon barks. No, not you. Keep sniffing. Are you going to arrest us? The teenager asks. She sounds almost excited about the prospect. No, Mom. I'm going to race you. All I get are blank stares. I sigh and tip my hat back on my head. Listen, the stylish young lady back there nailed it on the head. You three are seriously dead. No jokes. Dead. And when folks like you die, you come through the crossroads where your souls are prejudged so the lines across the river don't get all backed up. They have to process a lot of souls. Like a lot of souls. How many souls? The teenager asks with a smirk. A lot, I say, and give her another wink. My part-time job, when I feel like it, is to chase down speeders like you who refuse to stop at the crossroads and judge them myself. Cool, right? I don't know what's happening, the mom says. We're dead, Mom. Gosh, the teenager snarls. Pay attention. Hey, be nice to your mother. She's going through a lot right now, I say, then reach in and place my hand on the dad's arm. Immediately, all the tension and anger and fear and uncertainty and confusion and all that exits his body, and he relaxes into his seat. Arthur, right? He nods. Well, Arthur, I'm going to ask you to make a choice. It's an important choice, so I need you to listen up. Can you do that, Arthur? Listen up. He nods again. Good. Here's the choice. After watching the woman police officer, or whatever she is, walk back to her car, Arthur turns in his seat and smiles at his family. I'm sorry, he says. I screwed up. No shit, Sherlock, Teresa says. Ginny doesn't even bother to berate her for the language. I really, should have made sure I got the V6. What? That's what you're apologizing for? Ginny snaps. That's not the screw-up. You got us killed, Arthur. That's the screw-up. Yeah, well, if I had the V6, I would have been able to pass that truck. Guys, we should probably focus on the choice the lady cop gave us, don't you think? Teresa says, with as much sarcasm as a teenage girl can muster, which is a lot. Don't call us guys, Arthur says. It's disrespectful, Ginny adds. Whatever. But she's right, Ginny says after a minute. She did give us a choice. It's not much of a choice, Arthur says. He watches as the cop gets into her car, starts up, and then does a tight U-turn, pointing the javelin back the way they came, toward the crossroads. You see that car? It's one of the greats. That javelin has probably 400 horsepower. And for a moment, to Arthur's eyes, it looks like 400 horses are pulling the car as it positions itself in the opposite lane, its motor revving and ebbing, revving and ebbing. Even if I had bought the V6, give it up, Dad. We wouldn't be able to beat it. There's silence in the Astro van. The only noise is the javelin's motor out on the road. But we don't have to beat it, Ginny says quietly. You heard what she said, Arthur. If you win, you, not we but you, if you win, then you can have your choice of where we go after we take the ferry across the river. I think it sounds like Mom and I are safe. Thank you, Teresa. Although I wouldn't say we're safe. I think we still are going where we're supposed to go, Ginny says, and looks sideways at her husband. but you get a choice. Why, Arthur? Why do you get a choice? Arthur grips the steering wheel hard enough that his knuckles crack. I don't know, he says quietly. Ginny glances over her shoulder at her daughter. The two women share a look that says bullshit. So what's the plan, Dad? Teresa exclaims, all patience gone from her voice. Not that there was much there to begin with. Keep going and accept your fate? Or turn this bucket around and race for your soul? My soul? She said nothing about my soul. We're dead. Pull your head out of your V6 wishes and get real, Dad. All we are souls. While I don't enjoy her tone, she has a point, Arthur. Arthur stares straight ahead, his hands gripping the steering wheel tighter and tighter as the seconds tick off. What you think, Kay? He just licks his chops, then burps. Thanks for that. Really appreciate you stretching your range and utilizing all of your gaseous skills. Keon grunts at me, then does a tight circle and lays down in the passenger seat. I glance out my window and watch the drama unfold inside the Astro van. The ladies are busy giving old Dad an earful. Dad is busy staring at nothing and looking like he's gonna snap at any moment, which he could easily do. It's how he wound up here in the spot he's in the first place. I'm really not a fan of guys like him. I'd rather things just play out like planned. The family dies in a car crash, and then their souls go where they're supposed to go. I mean, there are 3 options. Elysium, which is paradise for heroes, so I doubt that was ever on the table, but you never know. And if he does win and chooses there, well, he may have some shocking news in store for him when he gets there. Then we have Asphodel Meadows, which is for all the normies. That's the obvious destination for Mom and the mouthy but kinda cool teenager. Ordinary souls getting to hang out in an ordinary place for all of eternity. And finally, Tartarus. Yikes, not the place anyone wants to end up. But considering what dear old Dad did, I'd wager he has a whole lot of torment reserved for his ass there. If he decides not to drag race, and I gave him that choice, he can race or not, up to him. If he loses, well, he goes where he was probably gonna go anyway. If he wins, he can decide between any of the 3. The arguing in the van stops, and Dad rolls down his window. We'll race, he says, barely looking at me. Are you sure? Because if you lose, Tartarus will be your new home no matter what was written before. But not for them, right? He asks, and looks from his wife to his daughter, then back to me. They don't have to go there, do they? No, you're the driver. This is all about you, Arthur. Race me and win, and you get your pick of the afterlife. Race me and lose, and you face forever torment and infinite punishment. Can they get out? Who? Your wife and daughter? No, you brought them here. They ride with you. What if I crash? So what if you do crash? You're already dead, dude. You can't die twice. All that can happen is you lose the race. Arthur nods up and down, then lets out a long breath. Okay, we race. Good choice, Arthur. You really didn't have any other option, in my opinion, and I've been doing this a very, very long time, so you should trust my opinion. What now? Well, you turn your ass around and line up with me. Then, when you hear the word go, you floor it and try to beat me to the Crossroads. I can do that. I have to assume he means turn the van around. If he means he can beat me, well, great, I shout. Let's race. Teresa covers her eyes in embarrassment as her father has to do a 10-point turn to get the van around and facing in the right direction. I am so glad my friends can't see me, she says, when they are finally lined up with the ladies' cop car. Or goddess cop's car. It's been hard to tell what's been going on since they found themselves on this road. Well, I am glad your friends can't see you either, Ginny says, or they'd be just as dead as us. Ginny glares over at her husband. Teresa looks away from her parents. She's tired of seeing their tension in every second of every day of her life. The bickering turned into shouting, and the shouting turned into throwing things. Then the throwing things turned into... Teresa shakes the thought away. Since she's been aware of the cancellation of her own mortality, she's also been aware that if she doesn't want to think about how things were back home, then she doesn't have to. Not about how bad they'd really gotten, or how violent they'd started to become. The Astro van's engine revs, and Teresa sighs. Compared to the Javelin sitting next to them, the Astro van sounds like a golf cart, or a sad lawnmower. It definitely doesn't sound like a car that can win any races. She said we'd hear a go, Arthur says, his eyes straight ahead. Teresa sits up, and the goddess cop waves at her, a huge smile on the gorgeous woman's face. Then, as if she has another face waiting, the goddess's head spins slightly, and a completely new face appears. And this one looks like it means business. "We are so totally fucked," Teresa mutters, glad her mother can't hear her over the car's engines. "The dude means business, Kay. Check him out." Keon does not bother to get up, and he does not bother to look at the sad man in the Astro van's driver's seat. "You are no fun," I grumble, and wait for the signal. When all of existence is rocked by a bellowing, "Go!" I slam my pedal to the metal and scream at the top of my lungs as my baby, my Javelin, leaps forward, quickly taking the lead. "Dad, drive! Arthur, that was a signal! I know, I'm going!" The Astro van doesn't so much leap forward as it lurches ahead. Its 98 horses a sad competitor to the 400 that have already gotten quite a lead. But Arthur isn't going to throw in the towel. No, he's gonna race, and he's gonna win. Because he has no desire to end up in Tartarus and have his feet chewed off by gators for eternity, or his balls bitten by fire ants, or whatever it is they do to the wicked over there. But Arthur knows he's wicked. He's known it for a long time. Well before he started hitting Ginny, well before he bought the Astro van, well before he tried to pass the big tractor trailer on the highway. No, he's known it for most of his life. And now, in death, he's going to use every chance he has to keep his ass out of the fire, literally. His foot is all the way to the floor, and the Astro van's motor goes from rev to roar to a high-pitched wailing like a banshee in an Irish folktale. "That doesn't sound good," Ginny yells over the noise. "It's a V4. What do you expect?" "I don't know. Not this." "Well, the V6 didn't sound much better when I drove it." The second the words leave his mouth, Arthur knows he fucked up. Even out of the corner of his eye, as he stares straight ahead, his full concentration on the road before them, Arthur can see his wife's demeanor change. Her entire body stiffens, and when she pivots in her seat, ignoring everything else around them, he knows he's in for it. "What the fuck do you mean when you drove the V6? "Language," Teresa says from the back. "Shut the fuck up, Teresa," Ginny yells, and Teresa shrinks back into her seat. Arthur gulps. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Fucking bullshit, Arthur. You said you thought this van was a V6. You said you were swindled or whatever by the salesman, but you've always known this is the lower-powered van. I mean, of course you knew. It's right above the fucking bumper." Ginny throws her hands into the air. "Tell me this didn't happen on purpose, Arthur? Tell me that you didn't try to pass that truck knowing you weren't going to make it. Tell me you didn't kill us on purpose." Arthur stays quiet, eyes forward, hands on the wheel. "Dad?" Teresa asks, in a small voice she hasn't used in years. "Daddy?" Arthur doesn't reply. "The guy can drive, I'll give him that," I say to Keon. I glance in the side mirror, and while the van isn't even close to my javelin, it's holding its own and keeping pace. It's a far, far back there pace, but I'm surprised I'm not leaving it completely in the dust. That doesn't mean I ease up on the gas. No, if I could press my foot through the floor to make this baby go faster, I would. I mean, I'm a goddess, so I probably can push my foot through the floor since the laws of physics don't exactly apply to me. But no way will I ruin this classic because I want to show off. It's so funny that these guys always think they can win. Keon grunts. I mean, sure, the douchey ones with their Lambos and their Maseratis think they have a shot. But the guys in Civics and the ones rolling up here in their Subarus, come on. It's that bullshit ego that has gotten them here in the first place. Don't they ever learn? Keon doesn't respond, but I do notice his ears flatten slightly. What's up? What are you thinking about? You have that look like... I cough and gag. Oh, you asshole. You got that shit in my mouth. Why, Kay? Why can't you fucking fart outside the car? The taste is wretched. So horrible that my concentration falters and the javelin slips to the right a little. Despite the fact that the laws of physics don't really apply to me, they do apply to my car. So as I try to get things back on track, while still gagging from the dog fart that has settled its stink in the back of my throat, the rear tire catches on the road shoulder, and before I know it, I'm spinning out of control. Ah, fuck! Look out! Ginny screams. Arthur yanks the wheel to the right, then he yanks it to the left, and before any of them know it, they have passed the javelin and there's nothing ahead of them but open road. Well, that's not true. What's really ahead of them is the Crossroads, and Arthur sees it. He almost stands up in his seat, leaning forward as if he can physically make the Astro van go faster. Holy shit! Teresa gasps as the van enters the Crossroads. Arthur hits the brakes, struggles to keep the van from sliding sideways, then just sits there as the vehicle comes to a dead stop. The engine sputters, and dies. Without warning, without a sound, the Astro van disappears and the Herbs are left standing in the dusty Crossroads all alone. They aren't alone for long. The javelin comes rolling up to them, the goddess cop shaking her head. Damn, Arthur, you did it, she says, then looks over at her dog. With a little assist. She laughs at her little joke. The Herbsts don't. Well, get in the car. I'm not going to let you walk all the way. The Herbsts look at each other, obviously wary. Oh, come on. The worst is over. Get in back and I'll drive you across the ferry and take you across the river. Teresa moves first and opens the back door so she can slide in. Arthur and Ginny follow quickly behind. What is that smell? Teresa asks, as the goddess cop whips the javelin around and aims them in the direction they had been going when they first hit the road. That is the smell of a dog who does what he wants, the goddess cop says, frowning at her dog, who was fast asleep in the passenger seat. I get them down the road, per the agreement, and drive the javelin onto the ferry. Hey, Charon, I say, as I roll down the window and hand him 3 coins. How's it hanging? The old man takes the coins, like he always does, then shrugs, like he always does. He looks off in the distance as if there's anything to see. It is going as it should, Hecate, Charon finally says, as he pushes the ferry away from the dock and sets us in motion over the river Styx. I see you had yourself a race. Charon is a kind man and used to work for my brother, or cousin, or stepdad, or whatever he is. He used to work for Hades, in other words. Now he's the ferryman of all ferrymen, the top gondolier, the guy with the big stick. A big stick he jams into deadly waters day after day after day. I say Charon is kind because he does not mention that the only reason I can be where I am, with 3 dead humans in the back seat, is because I just lost a race. Which is a little embarrassing, especially considering the circumstances. This one gets a choice, I say, hooking my thumb over my shoulder at the dad. Care to wager what he chooses? A wager, huh? He rubs his chin as he looks past me at the man sitting bitch in my backseat. Nah, too easy. Too easy? How's that? Look at him. Killer, right? Right. And not just a killer, but a family annihilator. Seems so. Yeah, they're easy to predict. Not a lot of depth there. Not asking you to probe his depths. I laugh, then nod at his long pole. Although, you sure have the equipment to do it. Just seeing if you want to make a friendly wager. I'll pass. He presses the pole deep into the river a few times. You'll thank me afterward. We reach the landing, and I wave at Charon as I drive off the ferry and head for the staging area that every human soul ends up at. And here we are, folks, I say, as I put the car in park and get out, stretching my back, happy to hear some good, solid pops. Eternity awaits. The mom steps out and looks around. She goes to say something to her family, but it's too late for that. Driven forward, she walks to the white marble circle set in the black stone platform. Once on the circle, she looks up and her body just disappears. Poof and gone. Never gets old seeing that. The girl, the teenager, gets out and does the exact same thing. I was kind of hoping for a goodbye since we seemed to connect, but that's not how things work around here. Souls gotta go where souls gotta go. Finally, the dad gets out, but he isn't propelled to the circle like the women were. No, he has a choice to make. Well, Arthur Herbst, what's it gonna be? I ask. And before I can even recap for him and list off his choices, he blurts out, Elysium, I'm not the bad guy here. I'm not. They always think they're the heroes of their stories. This fucking asshole is no different. Are you sure? It's not going to be how you think it is. It's paradise for heroes, he snaps at me. I deserve paradise. I deserve everything. So, Elysium? Yes, I want to go to Elysium. I shrug. Then you've made your choice. I gesture toward the marble circle. Go take your place. He hurries to the circle and waits. What's wrong? Why aren't I being transported? He cries. Oh, that. Yeah, well, that's me holding you back, I say, and grin a grin no man likes to see. I love to have the last word. What are you talking about? Send me to Elysium. No problem, I plan to. But you really should know what's about to happen to you, Arthur. You are going to a paradise for heroes. Except you aren't a hero, so I doubt it'll be paradise for you at all. Why? Because you're a piece of shit. A nasty, disgusting, get stuck to the bottom of your sandal for a week piece of shit. My grin widens, and he shrinks back, except there's nowhere for him to shrink back to. No, he's made his choice. You know what makes Elysium such a paradise for heroes? Don't bother answering. No way you can know, but I'll tell you. I'm enjoying this, the fear that spreads across his face as realization starts to dawn. It's paradise because I keep sending assholes like you for them to fuck up. Every hero needs an enemy, and you are one ripe enemy. I mean, who fucking ditches his family in the afterlife? You had a chance to make things right and go with them to the meadows, but you wanted to be the hero instead. I do use air quotes around hero. Except you never were, and you never will be. Good luck, Arthur. You are going to need it. He opens his mouth to scream, but he's gone before he can utter a sound. No worries. He's going to have plenty of time to scream and scream and scream. Satisfied by a good day's work, I walk back to my javelin and get in. Damn it, Kay! I shout when the stench hits my nose. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to click subscribe and check out some more stories here.